you guys. Thank you. I'm so filled with gratitude and love. You guys are so amazing. Thank you. It's an honor to be here, Neil, as always. Thank you.
It's an
So
honor to have
great.
you too, Geraldine. So we're excited for what you're going to share today. Are you doing a PowerPoint or what are you feeling?
Yeah, I have a little PowerPoint, and I'll share that and I'll just jump in.
Okay, love you so much. Let's do it.
Thank you, Geraldine.
Thank you, Joan, Michelle. Thank you.
So good to see you.
So good to see you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, let's see if I can share. Hello, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here. It's such a joy. When Neil invited me to come on this conference, I was really excited. The topic is fantastic and obviously timely. We're at a moment where we are about to see a major transformation in the sciences of the world, and something that I have been seeing very strongly since 2017 is that we are going to enter an era, which is right now we are in the year number 9, which is the last year of the past 25-year cycle. We're going into a new cycle. And in this new cycle, we're entering into a period 9. And year 1 is next year. So from now until 2027, we're going to begin to see major transformations in the world, very, very rapid change of an entire paradigm from the inside out. And so for that to happen, we have to adjust our mind, we have to adjust our understanding, we have to adjust how we are processing, integrating, and essentially embodying our understanding of reality. Right? And this is enter metaphysics, because essentially what we are looking at in the future is the merging of science and spirituality. This is the ancient art. It's the ancient wisdom of this planet Earth, is the merging of science and spirituality, in which the non-physical world merges with the physical world. It becomes one. And so this is a cyclical procession, right? So every many thousand millennia, every certain eras of time, we are further away from the center point because the universe is moving in a spiral motion. We are moving in a faster rate of vibrational frequency, and then we enter into eras in which we're in really slow rates of vibrational frequency. And in the slow rates of vibrational frequency, everything is directed and focused towards the matter, the material world. And every era, it switches from the power being in the feminine and the masculine, the feminine and the masculine. So what's happening right now as we're entering into a higher octave, each octave that we enter into, each higher octave, there is a unification process. The merging process of these frequencies enters a higher octave. And every time we go into a higher octave, things become more unified. So at this time, as we enter into period 9, the frequencies of this dualistic universe, so this is a construct in which we exist, this matrix, as we call it, this is a construct in which we're experiencing duality. And all of you and I, we souls, we are born and incarnated in this timeline at this time in order to experience this dualistic experience of the human flesh in the body, in the material world, temporarily, as a temporary aspect of millions of fractals that we are. We'll get into that in a second. But essentially, the unification of our fractals as we return and remember once again through this temporary moment of life that we are the entire universe. We are this entire cyclical system of exploration, of expansion, and of experience. Essentially, the unification of these dualistic aspects of ourselves is what will lead us to experience this higher octave that we're entering into. And so that's something that we want to feel, mind, body, and soul. The integration of that is going to be merging all areas of our physical world with the non-physical. So there's a lot of preparation that we have to do. There's a lot of transformation and expansion that has to take place in our bodies because we're moving out from the imbalance of that. The divine feminine, was suppressed for very long time. And the divine feminine, as you know, in these metaphysical sciences, in these more occult sciences, is a representation of the divine feminine. It is the subconscious mind, everything that is within the veil of the unseen. It is the subtle energy world. And so, with the rise of the divine feminine now, with the healing of the divine feminine, from the inside out, our veil, the veil of the dream state, of the hypnotic state of the material world, is lifting. And so, what that means is that we are able to see into the many dimensions that surround us, in which we are interplaying with our energy constantly. So that is an initiation that's happening to humanity as we enter in this higher octave. And all of the ancient sages of history have known this, have entered into these realms, have experienced the thinning of the veil. And either you go along with evolution and experience it collectively, or you create your own universe, your own micro experience, and you allow yourself to explore that beyond that veil on your own. So many of you are already being gently pushed in that direction with heightened abilities, higher faculties that allow you to explore these spaces. And so when we talk about, the tools of metaphysical laws of awakening, the metaphysical tools of awakening at this time, the keys, the name of this conference is Keys. We want to look at exactly what's the point? What are we trying to do here? And essentially what we're trying to do, as I'm mentioning, is we are returning back to that harmonic order, okay, the order in which all is one. And that is the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth of this universe is that we are everything and everything is us. We not only have our living lives on this physical world, but we're also existing simultaneously in many dimensions, many planets, many fractals of ourselves are existing. And every night when you enter in your dream state, you are living those lives. You are remembering, you are accessing those memories, those libraries, and not always is that information consciously available to you because of how you hold your frequency in the physical body in the waking state. So one of the things that we want to look at is how do we lessen the impact of this shift? And so what happens in the material world, and this is a law of the universe, essentially, when we fall too low in the frequency, in harmonic order with nature, the natural ebb and flow of the universe. So this universe, because everything is moving in this cyclical manner, everything is about exchange. It's about giving and receiving. It's about absorbing and releasing. And as soon as the body resists that, psychologically, energetically, bioelectrically, emotionally, this is where the body starts to self-destruct, essentially. And so we have the rising of illnesses, right? So over the past centuries during this era, illness was a really big thing. We have illnesses everywhere. Pharmaceutical industry is thriving off our belief, our lack of belief in understanding in the laws of this reality. And so what we are doing now with the rise of the feminine, as we enter into the realm of the intuitive field of the non-physical, is that we're discovering that, in fact, we are more non-physical than we are physical. And so when you realize what that actually means, you begin to open these blocked resistant points of energy in the body to allow life force to irrigate the body and come back into that harmonic order, right? So many people say going into nature is the key, aligning with nature is the key, coming back into that connection with that ebb and flow. And so those energy arts and energy medicine are going to be absolutely key at this time for the transformation of this era that we're going in through. So let me just open this presentation because I want to share with you. Let's see here. See if I can find my presentation. Let's see. share. Okay. Um, then,
See it, Geraldine.
okay, awesome.
Do you need your notes for it, or can you do full screen?
I kind of do. I kind of do
Okay,
need
no
the
worries.
notes. But yeah, let me actually see if I can mess around.
Yeah, maybe presenter mode will be better.
Okay, let me see. Let's see here. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, so it's not really working. Okay. All right, guys. So let me see. I'm gonna just make this really big for you here. Okay. All right. So let's talk about. So we're gonna kind of do an overview of, what does it mean to actually come back into that harmonic order? Okay. So I would love to invite you to observe this, and this is really at the foundation of all spiritual practices, all of these important meditation practices, all these spiritual little vines that have spread out from the core fundamental understanding of why we even have these practices to begin with. In order for us to recognize what is harmonic order, we have to be in alignment with nature. Okay, why? Because this universe is mathematical, it is geometric, it is based on the law of symmetry, balance, harmony. And every living organism, every cell, every plant, every animal in this universe has geometric structures that are allowing light to present itself, express itself. And so when you, as an organism of light, block the flow of light through your body, you begin to come into distortion. You begin to become confused and disconnected, isolated, alone. And then we come out of that harmonic order. So when we talk about these core metaphysical laws, we're talking about exploring the profound reality that exists beyond the physical realm, where the fundamental principles of existence will reveal themselves as the invisible architecture governing all creation and manifestation through the universe. If we understand what metaphysics actually mean, if we understand the embodiment of that, we have the ability to master matter. And here's why. The etymology, I really love to research etymology of words, but metaphysic actually means after the things of nature. Okay, so it's modeled after things of nature, after these laws of these nature. The true meaning, truly, it transcends more mere organizational convenience. Metaphysica represents humanity's eternal quest to understand the underlying principles that govern existence itself. It is the invisible forces, laws, and consciousness that create, sustain, and transform all manifestations of reality. So this ancient wisdom formed the cornerstone of mystery schools. And so everything from Egypt to the Pythagorean schools, Greece, the Hermetic principles, Vedantic teachings of India, all around the world, when we were much closer to nature in that way, when we were much in communion with that, we can understand these principal laws. So the fundamental nature of reality, physical versus non-physical. The physical realm, for example, is matter, it's energy, it's space, it's time, and it's perceived by our five senses. Now, your five senses are the key instruments. How you develop your five senses are the key instrument to learning how to speak the language of the universe. If you are cut off from any of your senses, if you're afraid of sensitivity, if you're afraid of what you're feeling, sensing, hearing, seeing, whether in the physical or non-physical world, this is where we are blocking the senses in order to speak the language of the universe and to come into that harmonic order. So these include tangible objects, electromagnetic fields, chemical processes in the body, biological systems, and modern sciences excel at describing and manipulating these realms through observation, measurement, and experimentation. So these are governed by the laws of physics and chemistry. So everything in the physical world is governed by these laws. It's subject to decay, transformation, and entropy. Okay, really important to understand that. And it also operates within space-time limitations, measurable and quantifiable phenomena. So this is the physical realm. So most of us, when we first wake up, we talk about what are the keys to awakening, right? So when we are first waking up, we are quite aware of these for the most part. We are subconsciously ingrained to observe the world from these core fundamental understanding. The non-physical realm, the invisible domain of consciousness, which is thought, emotion, intention, and spiritual forces, this realm contains the archetypal patterns, universal principles, and creative intelligence that shape physical manifestation. It transcends ordinary time-space limitation and operates through the different laws entirely. For example, it is governed by metaphysical and consciousness laws, okay, which are fundamentally infinite potential. Infinite potential is at the base of that. It is eternal. It is unchanging fundamental principles. Okay, so when the human separates from source, the human feels lost. It feels separate, it feels alone, it feels disconnected. But as soon as the human connects back into source, we are aligning ourselves psychologically, emotionally, energetically, geometrically with this eternity, with this understanding of these unchanging fundamental principles that govern all of creation, physical and non-physical. And it operates beyond linear time constraints. So in this concept of nature, science and spirituality, time is actually rather a spherical model. Everything exists simultaneously, and it's all happening right now. Every now moment that your awareness comes into play is actually when you can master and work and manipulate with this material interdimensional world, and experience through intuition and inner knowing. So in the rising of the divine feminine at this time, entering into year one next year, the new survival model, whereas it used to be to come into survival mode psychologically and emotionally, we are expanding the senses. And I just did a presentation on this yesterday about how our DNA is changing. We are changing at the cellular level to become multidimensional in such a sense that the intuitive faculties will be the new survival tool in this era. Okay, before we went through for many centuries working on instincts, right? On desires, on physical need, on coming into that survivalistic mentality, and our engagement and exchange with the material and with other humans and interdimensional was from that perception. As we enter into the higher dimensional plane, it is about intuition. It's about inner knowing. The cultivation of that, your divine connection to your inner knowing, is the absolute foundation for your survival skills moving forward. So this is where we realize that these realms are not separate. The non-physical is not separate from the physical. And we are interpenetrating dimensions of one unified reality. The non-physical realm provides a blueprint that creates force, while the physical realm serves as a manifestation and expression of deeper metaphysical principles. So let's talk about the law of causality, which is one of these core principles. The prime principle of all creation. Every effect must have a cause. Nothing manifests from absolute nothingness. And if we truly understood this at the very core, it would eliminate a lot of suffering in this world. Because we have been conditioned, we have been socially engineered, and we also go through, well, actually, it's mostly social engineering. where we are put into family systems. Families are meant to be separate. There is no more of that communal connection to our families and groups, larger groups of humans. We start to embed separation, and then we have this entire agenda of individuality, this illusion of individualism. And so when we come into this understanding, it begins to dissolve the idea that it's us and the other. That is such a profound illusion. It is you against the world, you against this group, this political group, that political group, this idea school, this another idea school. And we see ourselves as absolute separation. But in reality, the fundamental law extends far beyond physical cause and effect into the realm of consciousness, intention, and spiritual creation. So we want to begin to understand that the exchange of the world, we have to understand it at a very deep subconscious psychological action system of exchange. So the first cause principle is at the origin of all existence lies the uncaused cause, pure consciousness or divine intelligence that initiates the chain of creation. The first cause contains within itself all potential for manifestation, serving as the eternal source from which all effects emerge. The second is the causal change in reality. Every thought creates an energy pattern. Every intention creates causal force. In fact, every emotion that you feel is a bioelectrical charge because you are a bioelectrical system of creation that is inputting into this system. Every action produces consequences that ripple through multiple dimensions of existence. Very important for us to understand that, especially as we enter into this multidimensional era. You are not separate from anything. Right now, we barely are understanding that our actions affect others in the physical relationships. Well, your actions are actually affecting many dimensions and also the many fractals of yourself that exist in other planetary systems, as other beings, as other races. So understanding these chains of empowers conscious creation and spiritual development. So entanglement as the fundamental law, you exist in all and you affect all from this moment. So there's a certain level of responsibility that we must understand if we truly understand this. Okay, as the veils thin even more going into this next 25-year era, 25,000-year era, as we reach the end of that eras, really, when we're starting to reach 2037, the technology, the organic technology of the human to tap into telepathy, psychic abilities, communication will become very strong in our genetic structure. So that means that right now we want to be training telepathic communication, remote viewing, psychic abilities. That should be basics. Okay, and so for the reason for that is because this will be the new language of exchange in the universe. And the more we understand that, the more we have to take responsibility for our thoughts, our intentions behind our thoughts. Your intention is really the most potent essence of creation. It has the highest charge, your intention. Okay, and when that intention is met with the emotional bioelectrical system of creation, this is where it meets manifestation. It enters into material matter, changing matter. So mental and spiritual causation, our beliefs and emotions and consciousness states serves as cause that shape our experiential reality. These principles bridge the gap between mind and matter, revealing how inner states create our outer circumstances through metaphysical causation. The universe is a vast system of cause and effect, where consciousness serves as both the ultimate cause and the means by which we participate in the ongoing creation of reality. Okay, so let's talk about what that looks like. Let's bring it close to home. Your physical body looks like this. You are spheres within spheres that make up your body, and those spheres are the dimensions in which you're navigating. You are constantly moving through multiple dimensions at once, many dimensions at once, not just one or the other. Many people talk, we're going into 5D, into this idea. No, in reality, you're moving through many dimensions. And the sooner you understand that, the faster the acceleration of your spinning, because each one of you is this toroidal field, and this toroidal field spins. Every single one of these dimensional layers is spinning at different frequencies based on your awareness of each of them. Okay, so you are able to master each one of your chakra bodies. These are chakra bodies. You can contract and expand them as needed. And what we want to do as we're entering into this new era is to begin to master the lower dantian. What are the dantians? Dantians mean the collection of energy. The collection of energy in the lower dantian, middle, and upper dantian are essentially the law of three, okay, which persists in all of the geometric structures of our body. Okay, so the first three chakras in your body are mastering your physical experience. They are the systems of processing data that are exchanging and processing physical experience, physical vibrational frequency. All of the vibrational frequencies of the physical material world are filtered through these first three chakras. So what creates the filter is the programming that you have in your DNA. So all of your ancestral programs that have to do with safety, ancestral programs that have to do with sex and creation and exchange energy, your ancestral programs that have to do with your empowerment and your emotional maturity and emotional mastery. Okay, so how you handle them, because emotions are not just, feelings. Emotions are bioelectrical, geometric systems that trigger biochemical responses. And those biochemical responses have tremendous chain reaction in your biology. They can change your body from being healthy or into illness in less than, an hour. Okay? So in minutes, instantaneously, you can either heal yourself or you can literally develop some issue in your body, some illness in your body. So we actually have a tremendous amount of power over the body when we begin to understand ourselves as the masters of these systems. This is you, the master of yourself through the emotional body. And so what is important at this time is that in order for us to tap into these metaphysical fundamental laws, we want to acquaint ourselves with this multidimensional body, because it is through the physical vessel, anchoring yourself in the physical vessel. There's no such thing as I don't belong here, I'm not from here, I shouldn't have incarnated. The amount of things that had to happen in this universe for you to be who you are, where you are, what you're doing with your level of consciousness is just beyond what the human can comprehend. There is nothing that exists in this universe. There is not a single person that exists on this planet without a divine purpose. And every single human is a vibrational frequency, just like a musical note, like a sound, like a musical system of frequencies that is maintaining a harmonic order in the entire organism. Okay, so we need to mature as a human race to understand that, in order to understand the reflection of ourselves in our lives, in our human experiences, collective experiences, and kind of embody that kind of level of awareness to see each other as light rather than just the external physical illusion of the material world. Because the things that we set in chain reaction into effect in the material world is very powerful. Okay, so the more we can actually see ourselves as these multidimensional systems of creation, this is where we tap into changing timelines. Okay, and so we talked about time not being linear. You can affect and change your timeline based on the vibrational frequency and the intention that you're feeling. But it's not just that you're going to put a happy face and then all of a sudden you're there. You have to change from the inside out, your core fundamental belief system that is in your DNA. Okay, so ancestral belief systems that you are unconsciously repeating about hate, separation, fear, anxiety, helplessness, disempowerment. Okay, all of that is embedded for a reason. We need that. That is the metal that you are going to alchemize into the gold. And while you sustain those kinds of core belief systems, your energy body is an example of that, is absolute manifestation of that. So, your energy system is spinning in a sluggish manner, or perhaps not at all. That's where we have illnesses in the body. So as we remove these thought forms, as we alchemize these thought forms and replace them with a more expansive perception, your energy system begins to spin faster. Okay. And essentially, our human's energy structure can change into many different complex geometric forms. What is happening at this time as we enter into period 9 is the complexity of our geometry is going to change. Okay, so before we talked about embodying the Merkaba. Merkaba is the basic structure of light that we can embody. It's the highest form of structure of light that most of humanity has known for this current era. But as we enter into period 9, we are going to be asked to move into more complex structures of light. Why? Because that is the amount of frequency that is entering into this new octave. And so we receive these patterns and structures of geometric order through the sun. Okay, the sun is essentially the source from which we receive the geometric patterns of order, and it's through nature. Okay, so again, the more you spend time in nature, the more you automatically align with those natural geometric structures of light. And so in the same way that we are expanding our perception, the veil is thinning, geometrically, it means that you're allowing more light to move through your body, which means the complexity of your geometric structure is also changing. And so the model of the body, where we went from 8 to 13, now we are going into 21 dimensional planes that are available to us in our bodies, in the multidimensional body. So your dreams will be more vivid. You'll be able to come into this, much more expansive state of consciousness. So let's talk about the metaphysical nature of time. That being said, the traditional physics, we view time as a linear progression from past through present to future, but metaphysical understanding views time as a multidimensional matrix where all moments exist simultaneously within eternal nowness. Eternal present reality means all time, past, present, and future, exists simultaneously on different vibrational frequencies. What we experience as linear time is consciousness moving through these frequency bands. Okay, it's consciousness moving through these frequency bands, creating the illusion of temporal progression. Quantum time mechanics refers to modern quantum physics, which supports metaphysical insight, revealing that at fundamental levels, time is non-linear. It is reversible and subject to consciousness interaction. Right? So hypnotherapy, right? I'm a hypnotherapist, and in my sessions, every single day, and I'm telling you, over the past 3 months, the amount of information that has come through is so magnificent. It is exciting. It is beautiful. It is just incredible what we are now tapping into. Okay, so my invitation is to start channeling, get hypnotherapy sessions, start doing that internal work to exercise your ability to process this powerful information that is now available to us. Okay, and we can interact. We can go back to childhood. We can alchemize memories and emotions and release them from the energetic field of the body. Your entire field is suspending blocks of energy that you have not processed. And you can return back to those timelines and release them out of your field in order to open up your energy system. Okay, so these particles can influence their own past states, and quantum entanglement transcends temporal limitations. Consciousness and time perception, our awareness determines our temporal experience, though expanded consciousness states in meditation, especially at the minimum, we should be in a constant state of alpha. How do you get into alpha? You connect down to the center of the earth. You're fully embodied. I mean, you're aware of your bum, you're aware of your legs, you're aware of your feet and your heels, and you know exactly how they're feeling and what they're doing at this moment. Your level of awareness, majority of people, barely their attention is here. All of their energy is accumulated from the top of their head down to maybe midway in their body. Okay, how can you have any level of control over viruses entering your body, illnesses, depression, thoughts, emotions, fears? And of course, we are in a world where we are manipulated severely by the ignorance of how to manage our first three chakra system, our emotional body. We have no mastery over the emotions. No mastery over our thoughts. We can't silence the mind and go from 0 to 100. This is what this new era is asking of you at this time. And it is the implementation of these fundamental laws of co-creation. So through this meditation and metaphysical experiences or heightened awareness, okay, this is all organic access of your heightened state of awareness. If you are doing anything that is taking you away from your awareness, distracting you, all of your life force is leaking, it's bleeding out, okay? This is called centrifugal. Okay, so just like a blender or a centrifugal juicer, right? All of the energy goes like this, and it expresses out all the juices, right? All the energy is leaving the body. So we want to learn how to hold our energetic space, own our energetic space, in order to anchor our life force inwardly. The attention is inwardly, the awareness is in the present moment, and you are aware that your energy is not being depleted in any way. Okay, so this is part of this understanding of accessing timelines. You cannot change timelines and you cannot affect this physical realm if you have no control over your life force. Okay, so the perception and even influence past and future through present moment intention. Now, your intention is the most powerful energy. And people don't understand that the intention that you have underneath your emotions, the things that you say, are rippling creation effect all around you. And most people pick it up immediately. So if you are unaware of your body, you are giving off information, you're attracting people, experiences, events that are matching that unconscious state. So at this time, it's extremely important to be in the physical body in order to, become aware of that. Let's talk about substance and being, the fundamental essence of existence. In these four categories, I'm breaking down the four core fundamental pillars of the essence of existence. Okay? The first essence is physical substance, matter, and energy. It's understood by conventional sciences, atoms, molecules, electromagnetic fields, and quantum particles that comprise the tangible universe, everything that you can touch. Okay. The second is energetic substance. And so the thing is that as a multidimensional being, we want to be masters of all four categories. Okay? Energetic substance, vibrational frequencies, life force energy, prana, chi, orgone energy, and the subtle energies that animals, matter, consciousness throughout existence. Okay? Everything is constantly communicating with you because you are your universe. And so the plants, this morning, a little hummingbird crashed into my window and broke its little wing. And I had to run to find a clinic, emergency clinic, to go get it taken care of. But, the meaning and symbolism behind that is so profound. Okay, but you see, you won't be able to catch those messages and that information unless you are deeply connected to yourself and to the natural world and to the animal systems. You cannot ignore it. And our society has engineered us to become absolutely desensitized. We are desensitized from pain, suffering, the natural subtle movements of natural animal systems, the growth patterns of trees and plants. We are so disconnected. So we won't be able to have any level of awareness of the communication that you, because you are the one communicating through the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, energy system, aliens, interdimensionals, you are communicating to yourself through all these means. That's how powerful you are, and that's how great you are, how grand, how expansive you exist through all things. We communicate through the people we attract and have experiences with. Okay, and everything is guiding you into the choice of vibrational frequency. So you can numb it out and come back into a dream state, or you can wake up and affect your matter. Let's go into consciousness substance, which is pure awareness itself as the fundamental substrate from which all other forms of substance emerge, the eternal, unchanging essence of being. So when we talk about the consciousness substance, we're talking about affecting your higher chakra system. We start at the heart, okay? So our ability to come into heart, to coherence, this is an art, to come into coherence. If you are in resistance of anything, of any part of your own shadow, it's going to be hard for you to come into coherence because you're at war with your own self and therefore at war with all things outside of you. So in order to come into a pure state of awareness, this is something that we should practice through Vipassana on a daily basis. Bring yourself into awareness, non-judgmental awareness, non-judgmental observation. So this is where you begin to tap into the field, okay? So the second dantian is the heart, the throat, and the third eye, okay? So it's your ability to come into coherence, your self-worth, self-love, your throat chakra, which is your divine, it's your vibrational creation, which is absolutely important. The words that you speak, nothing you say should just be empty and just to fill space. It should be intentional creation. And every thought, your intuition, and that you tap into the field to observe what is around you. This is where you open up the field of the all, the Akashic records through the 7th and the 8th chakra. So the 7th chakra is your connection to the DNA of the earth. It is all your past lives, ancestral lineages, the history of all that you've been is available. And it's important to tap into that because if you don't, it's going to be very hard for you to tap into why you are repeating certain things that you're repeating. Okay? And finally, divine substance, which is the ultimate reality, undifferentiated source consciousness that contains all potential and manifests as a part, multiplicity of creation. So divine substance is really you seeing yourself as all. And very few people have entered into that state of consciousness, but when you do, you experience the most profound peace. And there is no war, there is no separation, there is no fear in those states of consciousness. And everything is created by pure intention. So this profound metaphysical insight reveals that all apparent substances are modifications of one underlying essence, whether we call it consciousness, divine intelligence, or the quantum field. This fundamental substance appears as matter, energy, mind, spirit, while remaining essentially one indivisible reality. And this is where we come into the holographic principle, right? The matrix, like a hologram, where each fragment contains the complete image. Every particle of existence contains the essence of the whole. The principle explains how individual consciousness can access universal knowledge and how personal transformation affects collective reality. Okay, super important. So when we start looking at the metaphysical law, physics laws, right? Here is category 1. So let's look at this, the unifying aspect of universal laws in your DNA. So metaphysical physics laws, the laws of vibration, everything in existence vibrates. The law of correspondence, as above, so below. Okay, fractal form. The law of conservation of consciousness. Consciousness cannot be created or destroyed or transformed and expressed through different, it can only be transformed and expressed through different forms. The law of quantum entanglement. All particles that have interaction remain connected regardless of spatial or temporal separation. The metaphysical psychology laws. Law of mental creation. thoughts are creative forces that shape personal and collective reality. So right now we have a lot of chaos in the world, and this is man-created chaos. This is chaos that is created by a forgetfulness of who we really are, a forgetfulness of our divine power, which means that we fall for the manipulations of media, we fall for the manipulations of psychological warfare to make us believe that it's necessary for us to be in a state of war or separation from something. But in reality, your thoughts are creative forces that affect collective timelines and reality through this morphogenetic field. Now, your morphogenetic field is the instruction manual from which you come into form, and you are constantly interacting with multiple timelines in this moment, even if you're just having cereal and having breakfast, whatever it is that you're doing. You might think that you're not doing anything, but as soon as you check out, there's so much happening in your energetic field that you are not aware of until later when you start to feel depressed or demotivated or lost or angry. Okay. And especially if you're connected to social media, you're being implanted with thoughts that you are a vibrational match to, but you're not aware of them. The law of attraction, like frequencies attract like frequencies. Consciousness draws experience. Matching is vibrational states. Law of bulletproof systems. Beliefs act like as reality filters, determining what experience can manifest in individual consciousness. Law of emotional resonance. Emotions serve as magnetic forces that attract corresponding experience and realities. So let's talk about DNA, the law of genetic consciousness. DNA serves as an antenna system, receiving and transmitting consciousness frequencies beyond genetic coding. Okay, epigenetics, right? The law of epigenetics response. Environmental consciousness and emotional states directly influence gene expression and cellular function. Okay, so again, the medicine of the future is energy. If you don't know how to manage energy, it will be very hard to overcome the psychological operations and manipulations that will be implemented in humanity, because the way that you enslave humanity in a time when everything is opening up for humanity, for the human is becoming multidimensional, whether anyone likes it or not, because we're entering into a higher octave. There is a resistance, and the resistance is natural because that's how we maintain harmonic order in this construct. Okay, so there's no good guy and bad guy. It's just what you're choosing to experience. So if you're in resistance of that, you're gonna be experiencing resistance in many areas, mostly physical. But as you come into this understanding that really at the cellular level, we have the ability to heal and change. And just a couple of weeks ago, I got so extremely sick. I was in the ER like 3 times. And until I had an experience where I was taken into this white room and these 12 beings came in front of me. And they showed me how at the cellular level, we can absorb from our environment all the nutrients, all the energy, the information that the body needs to heal itself. And so the next day when I woke up and I did that, even though I was at my weakest point, within 24 hours, my test results changed to the point where the doctors literally looked at me like I just made up the whole past emergency visits. So, these experiences happen to remind you again of your power. And we are going to be experiencing those things incrementally. It's not something to fear. It's something to embrace and to be aware of, to the point where you can remember once again. But as you can see, if we can understand these fundamental laws, you cannot be astray. You cannot be confused, because these are the laws of the universe. They are unchangeable truths. Let's talk about the law of morphic resonance. Genetic patterns resonate across species boundaries, sharing information through non-physical consciousness fields. Law of evolutionary intelligence. Evolution responds to collective consciousness, intentions, accelerating adaptive changes. So as more of us become aware and we get really clear of the intention of this process, what is the intention? We all have free will, and we respect and honor free will for the entire human race. Every human has free will. And so every human has the right to experience suffering, love, bliss. It's at their own will in order to grow and evolve into, as they align and come more in harmony. Remember, choose to come into harmony with harmonic order. Okay? Let's talk about the law of unity, which is where we are headed. This stands and perhaps it's the most profound metaphysical principle. All apparent separation is illusion, and underlying all manifestation is one infinite, undifferentiated consciousness expressing itself as the multiplicity of creation. The principle dissolves the artificial boundaries between self and other, mind and matter, individual and universal. We are not separate beings having isolated experiences, but rather we are unique expressions of one cosmic consciousness, experiencing itself from the countless perceptions of humanity, many perspectives simultaneously. The practical implications is what affects one part affects the whole system. Individual healing contributes. So let me go back to that for just a moment, because a lot of people get confused and they're like, okay, well, there's a war here. Well, yes, there's a war there. There's people suffering in the world. But because you are the creator of your existence and your universe, whether you're in that war or outside that war, where you put your energy and your life force is what grows in this universe. And it's extremely important that people break away from this illusion of helplessness, this illusion of, inability to change things. We can change a lot of things, but it has to be internal in yourself, because the external is a direct reflection of the wars you have within you. The killing, the death, the suffering of humanity is the suffering you embody on a daily basis. Okay, so these practical implications of this is what, let me actually just read this for you. The principle dissolves the artificial boundaries between self and the other, mind and matter, individual and universal. We are not separate beings having isolated experiences, okay? So let's come back here. Individual healing contributes to collective transformation. Universal knowledge is accessible through expanded awareness. When you connect to the field, when you activate your 7th and 8th chakra on a daily basis, and you anchor your life force into your crown chakra with intention that today you're going to live your life as your higher self, and you keep reminding yourself every moment throughout the day, this is how you change the world. This is how you create. And when you enter into that field, you begin to download the real thing. And it's very important that at this time you choose the real source of information as opposed to false source, which is AI, technologies, all kinds of external things that they could never comprehend the complexities of the universe, because information, when it comes from the organic field, it is not just information. It's a vibrational frequency. It's a geometric structure, and it changes you. Okay, artificial information doesn't change you. That is a very superficial effect on the body. But when you download information and you understand it in that way, it's a vibrational transformation from the inside out, which is why it's so important for you to channel at this time. Okay, tapping into love and compassion are natural expressions of recognized unity. If you cannot bring your body from 100 to 0 in a second, from anger, rage, yelling, despair, into pure love in your body, you have work to do. You have to look at, are you able to truly feel unconditional love for this physical body? Okay, and if you're not, you have to help yourself. So modern quantum physics supports the ancient wisdom through discoveries of quantum entanglement, non-locality, and the observer effect, revealing that consciousness and matter are intimately interconnected aspects of one unified field. So everything that you observe has the ability to change, okay? And consciousness as a primary creative force, which is what we are looking at, it is not just a mere byproduct of complex neural activity. It's the fundamental creative principle from which all reality emerges and through which we participate the ongoing creation of existence. So begin to look at consciousness as a source. It's the pure awareness that serves as the eternal, it's the fountain, the field. It's also helping us focus, through which we see universal consciousness. It creates specific experiential realities. Our beliefs, intentions, and awareness patterns, they determine what part of this infinitude you want to experience. And it's a co-creator, okay? So through understanding these metaphysical laws, these metaphysical keys, we can consciously participate in creation rather than unconsciously manifesting to default passions. Okay, so the universe is not only stronger than we suppose, it's stranger than we can suppose, because it's fundamentally consciousness experience itself as an apparent matter, energy, space, and time. Okay, so this is really, really important. And as we allow ourselves to come into more alignment, and we recognize that as a fundamental creative being, you are a creator. We have to come in and tap into that pure creation potential. Each of your lives is infinite possibility. And we limit so much of what we are capable of because we don't believe in ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust what we're being shown. We look outside to gurus and teachers and people to tell us things instead of us tapping into our own fountain. It's going to be really important in the next 10 years from now until 2027. The world will change. The old system is destructing. But from now until 2037, this is where we're going to see an implementation of timeline splits of the organic and the inorganic. So the reason why it's important to pay attention to this information for those of you that are doing this work is that you're not just, doing spiritual practices just for fun. Okay, it is going to be the foundation of the structure of your reality, because if you deny yourself of that divine connection, if you deny yourself of your own power, you will depend on an external source, and that is something that will it enslaves humanity. And so right now, with the rise of artificial intelligence, we have a potential timeline of becoming transhumanist. And there's a lot of agendas that focus on eugenics. Okay, so the selection of specific genetic lineages and genetic traits. There have been many eugenics programs through history. And why? Because DNA is the blueprint of this infinite potential. DNA is the portal in which allows you to navigate to different dimensions, tap into your starseed lineages, in which you are able to tap into higher octave civilization models. These unified truths are available to you when you connect to that field. But if you focus on the artificial and you depend on the artificial, that's going to start dying and weakening down. And just as it's been done for centuries by the churches, right, by religion, suppressing more esoteric teachings, ancient mystery schools, which talked about life force cultivation, mastery, sexual healing arts, sexual alchemy. Okay, so sex is not just pleasure. It is your potential primordial life force. And if you don't know how to master that, if you don't know how to use that, of course, you become enslaved in so many profound ways in this system. Our mind is clogged with illusions of what we are. And, the thing is that sexual energy is spiritual energy. And so the more you enslave people on the misuse of that energy, the more they are disconnected from their intuition. Okay, so all of these things that have been suppressed for so many centuries are coming out. And so we need to re-educate ourselves on what is this human body. And the human body is really one of the most powerful sources of creation. And ultimately, as we begin to restructure the multidimensional body in a way that is really, it's the activation of your holographic DNA. Actually, let me make sure that I'm actually sharing what I want to share here. This is where things are changing. Sorry. Okay, so right now, as I mentioned, we are moving from this 13 model into 21. Okay, so 21 bodies are going to be available to you. And it means that more people, so these are usually available for us all the time, but we're just not aware of it. Okay, so we are activating these higher chakras. The higher chakras allow you to access multidimensional consciousness. Okay, so information of how these laws are manifest into the physical. If you only stay within the first 3 or 4 chakras of your body, if you're only working on the first 3 chakras of your body, you just won't be able. Number one, your body will have a hard time adjusting to the powerful energies of the universe that are coming in. And as I mentioned, the sun is the transmitter of this information. The sun is activating DNA and adjusting DNA. And right now, the human spectrum of light is expanding. Okay, so right now we are able to see this normal range spectrum of vibrational visible light, which is all your chakra system. But what is activating in your body are the higher chakras. Okay, and so that alongside that is the activation of DNA from 2-strand DNA into 24-strand DNA. Okay, and I won't go into too much of that, but essentially, what you can see and perceive through the 5 senses is expanding, which is why they say the veil is thinning. So remember, ET contact is not about UFOs or objects in the sky. It is about your connection to your starseed lineage through your DNA, which you have that connects you to all the dimensional layers of information that is available to you. And so this is really the invitation at this time as we come in. And the integration of these divine laws are what will guide us into that, that essentially that next level. Okay. So, so Neil, sorry, this is the time, right? Or do I need to?
Well, since you're the last person, I'm just letting you go until like tomorrow if you want. So.
Let's do an all-nighter.
The stuff at the end. But thank you so much, Geraldine.
Thank you.
Just so beautiful, so incredible how you pulled it all together here. And I took some notes, and I know Michelle probably has something to say, but I want to ask some questions, if I may. Well, you started out by saying every time we go into a new octave, things become more unified, right? And that's interesting you said that because it's something I've thought about a lot. Is I used to think that we're going from duality to singularity, but now I realize that because I judge duality, and now I realize that duality isn't really something to be judged, that there's harmonious versions of it, right? Because polarity and duality almost became synonymous, where polarity started creating division and that division was then put on top of duality. So if we shift out of polarity, but we're still within duality, we can still have that contrast of growth, but but we don't have that division on the separation anymore. So I'd love for you to talk maybe more about, okay, if we continue getting unified, what is the eventual unification? Are we eventually fully unified? Like, what does that process look like?
Yeah, so basically what it looks like is, so biologically in the body, we're talking about complex structures of light. So, just like in the dimensions, the more simple the dimension, everything seems more linear, it's more matter, more physical. the more we go into higher octaves, it becomes more complex. There's more lights. We're multidimensional. So even though we're becoming more unified, it means that more dimensions are opening up for us to explore and experience. And so the unification is that. Okay, and then but I also have to mention, you see, the experience of duality is felt mostly within 13 dimensions of this construct. Okay, so think of it this way. So as we go into the further dimensions, as we access the awareness of those higher dimensions, duality is less and less, or the way that we perceive it, the way that we experience it becomes less and less. And so right now we're in the third dimension at this time. This is the construct, but we are experiencing higher octaves of that, which means what that looks like in the physical body. It's the alchemical marriage. Okay, so the marriage of the divine feminine and masculine, this, it gives birth. It is the creative potential that allows you to experience. And so what that means experientially is that you're experiencing more. You are also the capacity for you to process infinite potential, which is a broader range of vibrational frequency, broader spectrum of light that you can perceive, see, and experience through the body. It becomes broader. So the unification happens, in that you become the all more and more through this physical vessel. You perceive yourself as
Right.
the all more and more eventually.
So here's a good question for you then, because I used to think that we had 13 dimensions and then kind of like 13 dimensions within this galaxy construct. And part of those are also non-physical dimensions, oversoul dimensions. And then the 13th dimension is the void, which is the black hole in the center of the galaxy. And then our souls kind of get sucked into it, whether it's physically being pulled because our planet gets closer to it, or whether it's we just ascend to that level, and then the black hole could be a portal or a gateway to other incarnational experiences. But then I started finding out just in the last couple of years that it's almost like a computer game where these 13 dimensions are just one game. And it's like it's almost like, like World of Warcraft 1, which is one CD, and you're like you complete the whole thing, but then now they release the next game, and then so could you speak about what comes after that 13th dimension, and are oversouls dimensional spaces within these 13 construct, or is that beyond that?
So the way that I see it is this: we are all dimensions, even beyond 13 dimensions. We have access to even beyond that. Okay, so um, as we enter into a higher octave each time, more dimensions become accessible, more easily accessible to more of humanity, to the masses, not just a few that are already finding that information on their own. To the masses. So they have access to 24 dimensions and above. Okay. So every night we actually are navigating those infinite dimensions when we leave our body, because we're not tied to the physical body anymore. We unfold into those dimensional planes. And every night is like an experiencing a little micro death where we leave the physical and we detach to experience these simultaneous lives that we're experiencing. So for me, death is just a continuation of that. Is the shedding of the physical vessel in this dimensional plane, and then we explore any other lifetime. We continue to explore any other lifetime. Um, so I don't see that the universe is made up of black and white holes, like everything. But I don't see the universe like a planetary systems, really. I don't really see it like that, even though that's the construct in this matrix. That's how it's designed. In reality, everything is just energy. It's just energy, and the energy is constantly transforming from one frequency to another. That's what our soul is. The soul is essentially the vibrational frequency that contains everything. And then there's a fractal of it that is encased in this Geraldine body. And then there's the Pleiadian Geraldine or whatever other Geraldine. Those souls are also connected and communicating with this one.
Right.
So
And then
you asked so much, and it's hard to access all
yeah,
of the information.
it's like from what your perspective, it's kind of like I always bring it back onto the video game analogy or the computer analogy, right? Like if you have a hard drive, It's one solid hard drive. It's one piece of equipment. You purchase it. It's one equipment with wires and everything inside of it, but it's one thing. But then when you plug in something, you be able to view what's in the hard drive. You're able to view different types of files, different types of, and then if you open up games within that hard drive, that game might have like 100 different levels in it. But ultimately, that's just one little block,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yes.
that's kind of what it is. So I want to ask one more question, and love for Michelle to jump in after this. Is that okay? So I know that you are really deep into technology like me, so I love you because you're multifaceted with all this, and I'm loving like a lot of stuff that's happening with AI, and I feel like our future is manifesting.
Yeah.
And but you did speak about by 2037 we're getting to the human technology of telepathy, and I'm curious what your thoughts are, what AI and the new technology, quantum computing, light computing, is going to be involved in that, because you also said we need to be careful of transhumanism where we merge with it. So knowing that you're not against AI, but you're also making the warning of us going down one specific route, I'd love for you to clarify that a little bit. What do you feel is going to happen,
So
or at
no.
least is
Yeah, thank you. November of last year, I received a really, really strong vision about future timeline potential. That we are potentially going into a split of transhumanism in which it will be implemented the use of, very, very advanced genetic engineering, microchips and micro. Like nanobots that are able to enter into the bodies and adjust and heal. And some of this technology is phenomenal for some healing, cancers and things like this. For people that are not able to tap into their organic technology. Okay, that being said, the world is going to change. The world of science, the world of health, medicine, pharmaceuticals, it's going to change tremendously. It's going to be based on DNA in the future because, I've been following these genetic engineering conferences all around the world for many years because of the information I got in 2017 that DNA is the future. So DNA being the ID will be a new ID system of genetic mapping each person as an ID rather than just a little card with your picture. And it's already happening. It's actually already happening in Europe where your biometrics will be your new ID. So things are moving a lot faster than I thought back in 2017. It's actually happening right now. And the pharmaceutical and medicine industry is also changing in that they are sequencing your DNA in order to see an entire map of your health. And the idea is to implement CRISPR technology, which is genetic engineering, modifying DNA, removing illnesses from your DNA, and then now you don't have an illness, which is also incredible science. However, we are very early on in understanding DNA. We don't understand it yet. With the help of artificial intelligence, this information will become the learning curve will be shortened, but the nefarious, more parasitic systems of this world that are greedy and focused on the control of humanity are going to be utilizing this technology to further continue a kind of eugenics program, which the plan to begin with. Okay, so the alteration of DNA fundamentally is the alteration of consciousness, because when you begin to mess with the genetic structure, you're looking at again the effect on the morphogenetic field and the effect of the connection to many systems, many of these dimensions that we're talking about that are accessible to the human. So the trouble is that the implementation of that pharmaceutical technology will take humanity in. They will first create things to make you believe that you must depend on this new technology or this technology will save your life. And in some cases it will. But we will become dependent on that and it will deteriorate the genetic system long term. And then we are looking at a future where we cannot reproduce, where we have very weak energy systems, pineal gland illnesses, effect on the body, effect on very delicate endocrinal systems, which are the chakra bodies. And so this is the timeline I see. The other side of that is that we understand where we need to respect the boundaries of organic technology, which is the genetic structure. Once it's manipulated, you're not just taking a little piece off and everything is fine. There are causal laws, cause and effect to everything. So if you take a little piece, there's a chain reaction to that. And the chain reaction is not showing immediately, it's going to show later. And it also shows in the energetic field. So the transhumanist agenda goes way deeper than just, oh, let's put on a headset. We're talking about the genetic modification of the human race to a point where we become destroyed, essentially. And so, and the fear about that is that looking at how humanity becomes so polarized with social media things, so easy, just say one thing and boom, people are on one train. This is a very dangerous thing. And so this is a social experiment right now to see how manipulating it's easy to manipulate you, how it's easy to manipulate you. So the other side that I see is that humanity uses AI in order to supplement potential future timelines. Number one, a lot of people are going to lose jobs, and this hasn't even started yet. It's going to start in this January of this year. We're going to start seeing a lot of unemployment and a lot of jobs, and then it's going to go really fast. And so what that's causing humanity to do, they're going to go into panic, but after that, it's humanity needs to find their true purpose. Okay, our purpose is not to be survivals and employees. Our purpose is to be of service and to heal and to tap into these natural higher octaves in order to channel solutions for all of the problems on this planet with the help of AI, in order to supplement changes that are harmonious, that are more in harmony with nature, that are fixing pollution, that are coming into free energy, that are coming into advanced medicine that does not destroy the genetic structure long term. But it's going to require people to understand the long-term vision to bring AI online to this kind of potential future. So, it's just, that's a hard thing, but that's why I think it's up to us. Like, we really have to use this AI in a responsible way with that in mind. Really strong intention that we need to preserve the genetic structure. We have to preserve our sovereignty and our free will, and we have to preserve natural creation. No artificial wombs, no destruction of DNA, not even medicine. We need to learn how to heal our bodies, and that's why energy medicine is the future. So what I see as a potential future is that we are going to be living in beautiful green cities. AI and robotics implemented into that, but supporting humanity, helping humanity create sustainable systems that are in harmony with nature. This is a must. And so we got to get really clear about that. And our choices right now have to seed that future. So that's kind of what I see for that.
That's great. And just one last thing I got to share on that. As you're speaking, I'm realizing that, from what I've seen and researched and being in this world, DNA directly connects to our ancestral DNA off planet and galactic DNA and many things. And from my own feeling, I feel like this law happened until the first atomic bomb went off, but it was like specific beings would come into specific genetic bloodlines, and it was like almost like a harp, where parts of the harp were etheric and can't be seen, and the soul kind of like went down the harp strands until they eventually utilized that DNA to incarnate. If that makes sense, like a ET
Absolutely.
incarnate genetics. And then after the nuclear bomb went off, that law went out that you could actually incarnate into different genetics, not specific ones based on your ETs, because there was like a call out to the universe, all hands on deck. But it seems like our genetics connect to the different soul groups choosing to incarnate onto Earth. So if we change the genetics, then essence, if it's a nefarious plan, they could bring in specific souls that they want to bring in, and they could change that connection, right?
It, yes, that's right. That's right. And I think the more that we recover the memory of what we are, because remember, memory is bioelectrical. The more conductive we become, the more we recover the memory access to these starseed lineages. And those starseed lineage are extremely valuable right now because they're lending us important information and models of advanced technologies and civilizations that we need to anchor into this moment. So it's really beautiful that you talked about it like a harp, because it is very much like that. Again, we're choosing our frequency. And that's DNA. Our DNA becomes active. The more activated, the more memory we're going to have. So yeah, it's a timeline. It's a timeline choosing. We're refining our ability to choose timelines right now.
This is so touching on something that I think is vital to the next step in our evolutionary process, Geraldine. And you nailed it. You nailed it in a way that was so precise. You know, there's a lot of verbiage that goes with it, but the activation of you talking about everything that you spoke to is so important to where we're going. And Neil, this is a topic that's coming up a lot with in this scene that we're in as far as AI goes, and we see everybody getting super excited about AI, and we're walking a fine line. So Geraldine, what you're speaking to as far as the AI and the genetic mapping and the mapping our biometrics. I've had these visions as well, and when I got those visions, they came at the beginning of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing all the cameras being installed, seeing how excited people were getting about 23andMe and all the different, what they could find out about their ancestry, ancestry.com. I actually ordered a kit for Christmas for my daughter and I, and she got all excited about it, and I couldn't send it in. Some invisible force said, do not send this in. And when my daughter said, how we didn't get our results, and I said, I couldn't do it. My internal compass is telling me there's something not great about this. Now, I don't want to put fear into anybody that did it, but for me, it was absolutely a no. And have either one of you seen the children's well, I call it a children's movie, but it really is for adults, The Last Mimsy? Are you familiar with this movie?
The one with the Sri Yantra and they're going through time, right? Yeah, love the
Yeah,
movie.
and this scientist is in the future sending back these stuffed bunny rabbits, and this last one they call Mimsy has this Intel chip inside of it, and it comes back, and this brother and sister, they're like 7 and 5 or something, they're young kids, find it. The little girl starts communicating with it telepathically. This is our original language. This is the language we are supposed to be getting back to, and we are coming back into resonance with our original language, which is telepathy. Because with telepathy, everything is out there. You can't hide, you can't lie. You cannot lie with this. So think of how different the world will be when we can't lie, and we can't lie to ourselves because it's all transparent. And so in this movie, there's a scientist, you probably saw his girlfriend's the one that shows the picture of the Sri Yantra, and the scientist is showing a double-headed snake and showing what we're doing to ourselves. And basically in the future, they couldn't reproduce because they were so genetically altered that they could not reproduce. Exactly. And so, I don't want to go too much into it, but the bottom line to it is our future came back on that timeline to show us that we took a wrong turn somewhere with technology. And it is a very fine line. And I see, Neil, I get it when you get so excited about shortening the time frame of being able to use AI art, and being able to write descriptions for each one of the conferences and all of that. I get all of that. The part that gets me is when I see us veering off into the transhuman agenda. And it's something that's a game changer and a stopper. Greg Braden's talking a lot about Pure Human, is his latest book, and remaining true to our original DNA and learning more about it. So this is a topic I'd like to see in more forums. And Geraldine, when you talk about intention, you speak so clearly about the power and potency of intention. And when you bring in the collective consciousness, that's one thing I realized many years ago is I'm one person. How can one person have this pure intention and hold this pure intention, but the collective consciousness may not be on the same train of that? And we've got to do it together. It has to be a collective leap in consciousness. And that's what Portal to Ascension, I believe, is bringing to the masses, to have more and more people understand the importance. And your presentation spoke so beautifully to it. All of our presenters spoke so beautifully to it. You probably weren't on for every single presentation, but there's been layers of beauty brought through in every one of our presenters that's talking about this, and that's having a great remembrance, you know, of our true original divine blueprint of where we're meant to go as humans. What humans, our capacity to hold compassion and love, and how we harmonize that together is such an important part of this leap that we're all taking. And I really appreciate the way you started with it being a 9-year. And going into 2025, you started right there. You went right into the 9-year. And Joan was talking about what she was dismantled during her personal 9-year. And now she's come back because she had to dismantle a lot of things to complete a lot of things to come back. And now, you know, going into 2026 as a year of new beginnings and this leap and the major transformations that are getting ready to take place, and we're all a part of that. But thank you for really highlighting that each soul on earth is a unique expression of the divine, and the way that you language that really really, I think you just are so articulate in the way that you speak to where we all are, and how each soul is so unique and so needed right now. And to stay true to that divine blueprint is, you're a gift. You are a gift to humanity, helping us remember the, you know, the codes that lie within each one of us and how to work with these different universal laws. This is so important. Your story you told about being in the ER, another really important thing for us to tap into, that knowing. And, you know, where pharmaceuticals are taking us in terms of the toxins that we're putting into our bodies. And I think that's a really important track to go on as well right now, is to remind us that we are powerful beyond belief in what we can do within our own systems. So I mean, I could go on and on. I saw you, you know, Neil, I see you taking notes. I take notes, and I'm thinking, this is just, you were an incredible speaker to be at the end to encapsulate what we're all what this journey has taken us on, the awakening of our inner light. And whew,
Thank you so much. You're so wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. You're so loving and giving and beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I it's been amazing to be here among all of the sharings that are taking place, and especially on this, I kept looking out my window. I was looking outside my window, as I can see in the mirror here. And I'm thinking, gosh, it's such a dull, dark day. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh, it's the solar eclipse happening, you know, like
right.
I noticed it get really dark, and then we're returning to the light. Like, there's so many layers to what
you can't make this stuff up, huh?
Yeah, you can't make it up. It's beautiful.
No. Geraldine, thank you so much. You know, that's, I don't know if you've noticed, but you're last at every event we've done.
I noticed that.
Have you noticed that? And most of the time, to like, just to be on, like, to tell you my thought process of creating events, most of the time, after creating thousands of events, like, I now know that my intuition takes just lets me, whoever I put in the right place, I know and I trust it's going to be. So I don't really map it out anymore. But as you know, Michelle, every time you're like, whoa, how did you know who to put on who with who? I don't. But if there's one person that I always know where to put, it's you. It's always, because, like, to be honest, like, I mean, we
funny.
vibe out with belief systems a lot, and like just our conversations are just so like multifaceted with technology and consciousness. But it's like you really are able to convey like really heady information through the heart. And when you speak, like you might be speaking of straight genetics, like just like linear stuff that only someone at a genetic conference would probably grasp the full concept of what you're saying, but just your voice is full of heart and compassion, right? So the reason why I put you at a lot and end of Glastonbury event, the end of the San Diego event, the end of this one, is because I've worked with you enough to know you always bring us into the heart. You know what I mean? And that's the perfect way to close out something like this.
Absolutely.
Love you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you for
Love
having
you
me.
too,
It
Geraldine.
was an honor.
Of course.
Yeah.
Love
I'm
you.
blown away. Blown away.
So-
Love you so much, Geraldine. Thank you for all you share and the vision that you hold for humanity. That,
Yeah.
you know, if we can
Yes,
all
let's do
listen
it.
to that. And I would like to remind our listeners, one of the things that you said, and I put it in first person, today I live myself as my higher self. Really putting that intention each day when we wake up, calling our higher selves into being and tapping into all aspects of our higher selves flowing through us in every moment of the day. And we're becoming that as we dream it into being. We intend it into being. That was a critical tool that I wanted to remind us of before we
Yes.
move on. But thank you for that.
That's such a good way to close this out, because something that I've been thinking about for so long is how all these invocations don't mention ourselves. We're invoking all these beings and all these ETs and dragons, which are all good, but how often do we forget ourselves? So I
Yeah.
started adding myself into in my own invocation, or when I do a group setting, and even the higher self. But the whole concept is we are that higher self, right? And the reason why we're the biggest light show in the universe is because those beings see our worth. We might not see our worth, but most of the universe sees our worth, whether they're here just to get some skin from us to do a genetic experiment, or they're here for the fact that like we are such expansive beings that are able to experience the full range of emotional beingness, right?
Yeah.
So just like and this whole concept of this conference is awaken your inner light. It's a remembrance that even though we have support everywhere, that you are your own guide. You have your own
Exactly.
tools, right?
100%. I love that.
So
Namaste, guys. I
thank
love
you
you.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Love
everybody.
you. Talk soon.
Thank you so
Okay, take
much.
care,
Love
Geraldine.
you.